Hi there, welcome to a Carlton Witch Ramble. So let's talk about the incredible human that is Sam Walsh. Now, he has certainly experienced some setbacks in his career, which are simply the steps he has to experience in order for his personal and emotional evolution to take place. And I think this is the perfect example of how sometimes what we want for our career and what we need for our personal growth are not always aligned, and how most of the time they will be at war with each other. So let me tell you what I have learned about Sam from the basic map of his psyche. He is someone who is very open to people's emotional states. He picks up on emotions of other people, even if they don't want to talk about those emotions, especially if they are emotions they don't want to talk about. He finds himself, the more he finds comfort with friends and family, but he does know more than what he will speak about. He can remember conversations as if it was a script, and if he needs to bring anything up, he will remember more than just the words. He will remember the energy, the emotion, the whole overall theme of what you were talking about. So this is someone who holds a lot of emotional memories. In fact, a lot of his memories will be very linked to an emotion that he was experiencing at that time. And he's very likely to keep his opinion quiet when he doesn't think that it would be popular. And he would rather share that unpopular opinion with people in private so that he doesn't disturb the public peace or the overall belief consensus of what his opinion is about. Having said that, this is not somebody that you would want to piss off. Because if you are close enough to him to have an effect on his energy and to actually piss him off, then you are close enough for him to know things about you that could destroy you if he has to use it in a battle. Sam has a very deep drive to succeed, but he also has this constant fear that he's not working hard enough. There's a constant anticipation of failure, even though he knows deep down that things can and will go wrong and has experienced that. He's someone who would tend to blow small issues out of proportion because it just feels safer to fight battles in the small, manageable space rather than face the bigger, more overwhelming challenges. And so would use those small challenges to project some of those more overwhelming emotions that come with the bigger challenges. Now, Sam is someone who doesn't really trust his own strength. He doesn't really use it like everybody else. And really, he is somebody who would act as if it's not that necessary in his life. Strength would be more of a hobby, not something that's crucial to his life. And he's not really looking for recognition of it. In fact, it would be something that he would hide from altogether. And this is strength in his physical body as well as mental and emotional strength. He's not really someone who would be worried about whether or not he could do something. What he cares more about is whether he'll have to do it alone. Sam absolutely would hate being left to do things by himself. Not because of the question of whether he thinks he's capable of doing it, that's a secondary thought. What really would matter to him first off is whether someone will be there to do it with him. Like, he doesn't need help moving a chair because he can't lift it. He wants the help because he wants you there with him. That's the sort of support that is beneficial to Sam. Now, there would be an inherent stubbornness when it comes to changing the way that he does things in his life. Because for him, being able to anticipate an outcome based on the way things have always been and always turned out is sort of a protection mechanism. So Sam is someone who really feels the emotions and hidden secrets of people around him. He knows when something's off, even if it's not said out loud, but he also won't speak up a lot of the time because not needing recognition, it doesn't want to say something that's not well received, would rather speak with people in private one at a time because he can better read their emotional cues and body language and take in everything around what is being communicated, not just the words being said. So in the past, Sam has definitely struggled with a wound in his psyche of this voice that tells him he's not working hard enough, he hasn't worked hard enough. It would constantly be asking him questions like, what if people think I'm not doing enough? What if people think I'm not pulling my weight? There's also a wound that makes it really hard for him to truly believe in anything at all. For Sam, nothing ever really feels permanent. There would be a nagging feeling that he just doesn't know what the purpose of life really is, no matter how hard he tries to find it, no matter how hard he moves towards what he thinks it is. At times, he would have experienced everything feeling a little bit pointless. And these wounds, combined with this overall energy, make him really vulnerable to becoming overwhelmed by emotional noise. His own emotional noise, but also the emotional noise of the people around him. The things he never says, the things he thinks he should have said, the secrets that he keeps, and the secrets that he knows about other people are also part of this emotional noise. And all of that repressed emotional energy can really mess with you physically. It's like when you're working out and our muscles might feel ready to go. We feel like we're ready to go and hit another training session. But if your mind is too tired or distracted, you won't be focused enough, right? Mental fatigue. And it makes training not very safe. And it is something that gets forgotten a lot when it comes to physical health. So emotional energy, emotional health works in the same way. If you don't manage it, it starts to throw you off mentally and physically. And when you are someone that physical exercise is your way of life, it is important to know that, to know when your mental and emotional energy is out of balance so that you can avoid an injury. Okay, so let's dive into something that might sound a little bit out there, but I think it's still worth exploring. And it is part of what I do. So we just had a full moon at 24 degrees of Cancer on January 14th. So let's take a moment to look at the energy in Sam's psyche, the Cancer energy that is all over it. Most importantly to note, the Cancer Mars, which represents his masculine energy and is the energy that rules over things like sports that are masculine energy related, and is the current position of the planet Mars right now, and it is also his North Node placement. Now, in astrology, the North Node represents the part of our psyche and energetic makeup that represents the direction we're meant to move toward in life, the qualities and experience we're being called to develop throughout our time here. Now, Sam's North Node is at 25 degrees of Cancer, and the full moon crossed it at 24 degrees of Cancer. These very close degrees mean that the energy of that moon is talking to Sam's future through the use of his masculine energy. And what does that mean? It's like an emotional overload crossing paths with his future goals. And the timing of it was pretty crazy. When you look at the meaning of this full moon and how it interacted with the other parts of Sam's chart, you can see how much it could have affected him, especially emotionally. It is the kind of thing that can lead to burnout, exhaustion, fatigue of the emotional and mental kind. Here's where it gets even more interesting. This particular full moon in Cancer is one that we have not seen since Boxing Day 2023. Now, normally there's a full moon in Cancer every year. We get one in all of the signs. Last year was a little bit unusual. Instead of the typical Cancer full moon, we got 2 full moons in Capricorn, and those were in June and July. So this full moon is actually calling us back to that time, back to those events. And for Sam, they were asking him to slow down, to look at nurturing himself, to look at giving himself permission to pause and to unload and feel some of those repressed emotions. That's not easy in the culture that we all live in. It sort of treats exhaustion and overworking like a badge of honor. And for Sam, it specifically was asking him and the map of his psyche to transform the way that he relates to his emotions. to heal from any old wounds from his past that stopped him from doing that, including childhood wounds, and really to start seeing vulnerability as a strength, not a weakness. Because in particular for Sam, it is his connection to his vulnerability that shows him the signs and the triggers when he needs a little warning to stop and take a break. And let's be honest, this is not the sport for that. This is not the career for that. And these are not things that a very hardworking Sam Walsh would be very comfortable doing, slowing down, stopping, taking a break, especially with the wound of wondering whether people think he's working hard enough. Now, if you rabbit hole Sam Walsh in June, July last year, there's a few things worth mentioning. One of which being the insanity of old man Dangerfield getting away with a dangerous tackle and Sam being accused of risking injury for a free kick. And that particular time period, June, July last year, also marked that turning point for Carlton, where they went from being in that winning position to completely falling off the rails. And in my opinion, very obviously, there was some shadiness happening behind the scenes at the Carlton Football Club's office, which, if you are keeping up with the news around the bag gate, thanks Pom, scenario, then there's some other things starting to come to light, in my opinion. When you put all this together, you can see why it was such a big deal for someone like Sam, a sponge to emotional energy, picking up on the secrets of those around him, his deep fear that he's not doing enough or doing the right thing, and his constant underlying knowing that failure is real, even though the last thing he ever wants to experience is to actually fail. So with all that swirling around him personally, it's very clear that emotional fatigue is a real risk for Sam during this full moon energy. Cancer energy is really fascinating. And if you're familiar with reading natal charts, you'll know that children with a lot of Cancer energy tend to face a constant stream of illness, starting straight from birth. This just presents as a physical illness. And although the cause of it is a lot of the time an immune response to the collection of repressed emotions overloading the system, and in young children, they don't really have the tools to regulate those feelings. They certainly do not understand how they are influenced by hidden emotions of those around them either. So as an adult dealing with this kind of emotional energy, like the ones that hit in June, July 2024 for the Carlton team and for Sam individually, without the right sort of support, without the right time to process the things and really move around this sweep it under the rug mentality, which focuses on things like pushing through, getting back to work, ignoring the emotional weight that is there and needs to be looked at, especially because at that time, Carlton started to lose many of its players to injury, which that's another interesting rant for a different time. But there just quite simply was not time to focus on anything other than what was put right in front of them, and really trying to regain the momentum that they had lost. This full moon in Cancer, she was not going to let you avoid that. She came back with a vengeance to force us to rest, to force us to deal with those past wounds, to heal them, to integrate them. It's as if the universe hit pause and said, take a moment, you need to deal with this, and if you don't stop, I will stop you. Someone I want to throw in as a mention here at the end, really to hammer home how heavily this energy can affect people, is Nic Neumann. And he's important here because he also has a Mars placement in Cancer, like Sam. And the opposite energy of Cancer energy in our psyche and in the universe is Capricorn energy. And Nic has both of those energies, and both of them were very affected by the full moon. Nic's Capricorn sun is at 24 degrees and his Mars is in Cancer. So this tells us that Nic's sense of self, his leadership style, how he relates to authority, what gives him pride, how he seeks attention and recognition, and those sorts of things. They were being asked to really look at their emotional truth. What is the emotional foundation of what gives him pride, why he seeks attention, how he deals with authority? And really, what is the emotional truth that comes out that needs to be looked at through his masculine energy? Now, Nic has faced some personal shifts in the last 10 to 16 years, and as he integrates those, because we are just in the integration period now, he's really being forced to find a deeper connection to his vulnerability and emotions, because those are the best fuel for him to attain his dream goals, as is everybody with a Mars in Cancer. He will have a lot of positive energy coming to him from about June this year until July next year. They are going to really help heal wounds related to family, to find strength in the people that feel like family. And he will also be being shown how places that he has felt shame and guilt in relation to his emotions and how he shows up, how those things have affected his ability to build a strong, worthy relationship and business partnership with others. The next 18 months for him will see him in a place where he should be able to get a lot louder about getting what he deserves and heading that way. Now, if Carlton had had me on their health team, I would have strongly advised that Sam keep his feet off the field between January 11 and January 20th. And I would have also flagged Nic Neumann and Zach Williams, who have that similar placement of Mars in Cancer, to take it easy or to take a break during that time too, so as not to be unfocused with the emotional overload and the emotional fatigue. Because with the heaviness of the energy that is going on right now, in my opinion, there was no other way this could have gone. So, as always, if you would like me to map your psyche and explain to you what the hell is going on in the energy for you, come and find me. And as always, go blues, stay weird.